Please save us. I will meet all your needs." The rancher who saved them. The village was small and dusty, with narrow paths made of dry soil and broken stones. Most of the houses were old and weak, built with simple bricks and mud. During the day, the sun burned hot, and at night, cold air moved through the cracks in the walls. Life in this village was never easy, but for one family, it had become almost unbearable. This family lived in a tiny house at the edge of the village. The roof leaked when it rained, and the walls had many cracks. Inside there was very little furniture, just a small bed, a broken table, and a few old chairs. The air often felt heavy with worry and sadness. The father of the family had once been a strong man. He used to work in nearby fields, carrying heavy loads and working long hours to earn money. His hands were rough from years of hard labor, and his back often ached, but he never complained. He was proud that he could provide for his family. But everything changed when he became sick. At first, it was just small pain and weakness. He thought it would pass. He continued to work, even when his body told him to rest. Over time, his sickness grew worse. One morning, he could not stand up without help. His legs felt weak, and his chest felt tight. From that day on, he was unable to return to work. Without his income, the family's problems quickly became bigger. The mother tried her best to hold everything together. She woke up before sunrise every day. She cleaned houses for neighbors, washed clothes, and did any small job she could find. Some days people paid her a little. Other days, they had nothing to give. She never complained in front of her children, but when she was alone, tears often filled her eyes. She worried all the time. She worried about food. She worried about medicine for her husband. She worried about school fees for her children. Most of all, she worried about the future. She did not know how long she could continue like this. The children felt the change too. The eldest son was old enough to understand what was happening. He saw how tired his mother was. He saw how weak his father had become. At night he heard his parents whispering, trying to talk quietly so the children would not hear. But he heard enough to know that money was almost gone. The younger children did not fully understand, but they felt the fear in the house. Some nights they went to sleep with empty stomachs. They tried to be brave, but hunger made them quiet and weak. Their laughter, once loud and full of life, slowly became softer and less frequent. One evening, the family sat together in silence. The small lamp in the corner gave very little light. The father was lying on the bed, breathing slowly. The mother sat near him, holding a cloth and wiping his forehead. The children sat on the floor, close to each other. The mother finally spoke in a soft, shaking voice. "We cannot go on like this," she said. "We have almost nothing left." The father closed his eyes. He looked ashamed and helpless. He wanted to help, but his body would not allow it. "I am sorry," he whispered. "I should be the one taking care of you." The mother quickly shook her head. "This is not your fault," she said gently. "You worked hard all your life, but now we need help." The room became very quiet after her words. Everyone knew what she meant. They had reached a point where they could no longer survive on their own. The eldest son felt a heavy weight in his chest. He did not want to see his parents suffer. He did not want to see his younger brothers and sisters go hungry. He felt scared, but also determined. That night he could not sleep. He lay on the hard floor, staring at the dark ceiling. His mind was full of thoughts. He thought about the future. He thought about his father's sickness. He thought about his mother's tired face. He knew that someone had to do something. Before the sun rose, he made a decision. He quietly stood up, careful not to wake anyone. He took a small piece of bread, the last one they had, and put it in his pocket. He looked at his family one last time. His mother was sleeping lightly, his face full of worry even in her sleep. His father was breathing slowly. The younger children were curled up together for warmth. The boy felt tears in his eyes. "I will find help," he whispered to himself. "I have to." He stepped outside into the cool morning air. The village was still quiet. A few roosters crowed in the distance. The sky was just beginning to change color. The boy walked down the dusty path, not knowing exactly where to go, but knowing he could not turn back. He walked toward the main road that led to the nearby town. As he walked, fear and hope mixed inside his heart. What if no one helped him? What if people laughed at him? What if he came back with nothing? But then he thought of his family. That gave him strength. When he reached the town, the streets were already busy. People were opening shops. Vendors were setting up small stalls. The smell of food filled the air, making his empty stomach hurt even more. The boy walked slowly, looking at faces, wondering who might listen to him. He felt small and weak among all the adults. Many people were busy. Some looked angry. Some looked tired. Some did not even notice him. He wanted to speak, but his voice felt stuck in his throat. After a long time, he saw a group of men talking near the market. They looked like farmers and traders. One of them stood out. He was taller and quieter than the others. His clothes were dusty from work, and his face looked serious but calm. The boy did not know it yet, but this man was the rancher. The boy stood nearby, listening. His heart beat fast. This might be his only chance. He took a deep breath. Slowly, with shaking hands, he stepped forward. "Sir," the boy said in a soft voice. The man turned and looked down at him. "Yes?" the man asked. For a moment the boy could not speak. His mouth felt dry. His hands were shaking. Then all the pain, fear, and worry in his heart came out in his words. "My family is in trouble," the boy said. "My father is sick. We have no money. We have no food. Please, please save us. I will meet all your needs. I will work. I will do anything. Just help my family." The market noise seemed to fade away. The man looked at the boy carefully. He saw the fear in his eyes. He saw the thin body. He saw the deep worry that no child should carry. For the first time in a long while, something moved inside the rancher's heart. He did not answer right away. The boy stood there, holding his breath, not knowing if this stranger would turn away or become the miracle his family was praying for. And in that moment, the future of the family began to change, even though none of them knew it yet. The man did not speak right away. He looked at the boy with calm eyes, but inside, many thoughts were moving through his mind. He had seen many people in need before, but something about this boy felt different. The boy was not asking for himself alone. He was asking for his whole family. That made the rancher pause and truly listen. The other men at the market slowly returned to their own conversations, but the rancher stayed focused on the boy. He bent slightly so he could look at him at eye level. "What is your name?" the man asked gently. The boy told him his name in a small voice. He felt nervous, but also a little hopeful. "And your family?" the rancher asked. "Tell me about them." The boy began to speak. At first, his words came slowly. Then, as he felt the man was really listening, everything came out. He talked about his father's sickness. He talked about his mother working all day and still not earning enough. He talked about his younger brothers and sisters going to sleep hungry. He talked about the small house the empty shelves, and the fear that filled their nights. As the boy spoke, the rancher's face became more serious. He did not interrupt. He did not rush the boy. He let him speak until his voice became tired. When the boy finished, he looked down at the ground. He felt ashamed to beg, but he had no other choice. The rancher took a slow breath. "Come," he said. "Walk with me." The boy looked up, surprised. They moved away from the busy market into a quieter street. The sounds of people and animals slowly became softer. The rancher walked with long, steady steps. The boy followed closely, afraid to fall behind. As they walked, the rancher began to talk. He told the boy that he lived on a large ranch outside the town. He raised animals and grew some crops. He worked hard every day, often from sunrise to sunset. People thought he was a quiet and serious man, and that was true, but they did not know his full story. Years ago, he had a family of his own. He had a wife and a young child. His life was full of noise and laughter back then. The ranch was not just a place of work. It was a home filled with love. Then, one terrible time came. An illness spread in the area. His wife became sick. He tried everything to help her. He spent all his savings on medicine and care, but nothing worked. She grew weaker and weaker. In the end, she passed away. Not long after, his child also became sick. The rancher's voice became quieter as he spoke. "I lost them both," he said. After that, the ranch became very quiet. The boy listened with wide eyes. He did not know what to say. He could feel the pain in the man's words. "That is why I understand sickness and fear," the rancher continued. "I understand what it is like to feel helpless." They stopped walking. The rancher looked down at the boy again. "But understanding pain does not always mean knowing what to do," he said. "Helping others is not easy. It changes lives. Sometimes it brings joy. Sometimes it brings new worries." The boy felt his heart beating fast. "I will work," the boy said quickly. "I am strong. I can help. I will not be lazy. Just please help my family." The rancher studied him for a long moment. He saw more than just a thin boy. He saw courage. He saw love for family. He saw a child forced to grow up too fast. "Work is not the only thing," the rancher said. "Trust is important too." The boy nodded. "I will be honest," he said. "I will do my best." The rancher looked away for a moment, thinking. He thought about his empty house. He thought about the long, silent evenings. He thought about the child's face, full of fear, but also full of hope. Something inside him began to soften. "Take me to your home," the rancher finally said. The boy felt a sudden rush of hope. "Really?" he asked. "Yes," the rancher replied. "I want to see for myself." They did not waste time. They walked back through the town and onto the dusty road that led to the village. The sun was higher in the sky now, and the heat made the road feel even longer. The boy's feet hurt, but he did not complain. He was too focused on what might happen. As they walked, the boy felt nervous. What if the rancher changed his mind? What if he saw the house and decided it was too much trouble? When they reached the village, people looked at them with curiosity. It was not common to see a stranger walking with a village boy. The boy led the rancher to the small house at the edge of the village. The rancher stopped for a moment and looked at it. The walls were cracked. The door was old and weak. The place looked tired, just like the family inside. The boy opened the door slowly. Inside, the air was quiet and heavy. "Ah," The mother looked up, surprised to see her son with a stranger. Fear and hope mixed on her face. "Who is this?" she asked softly. "This is the man I told you about," the boy said. "He came to see us." The mother quickly stood up and tried to make herself look respectful, even though her clothes were old and worn. The rancher nodded politely. "My name is," he said, telling her his name. "Your son told me about your family." The mother looked at her son, then at the rancher. Tears filled her eyes. "My husband is sick," she said quietly. "We are trying, but it is very hard." The rancher stepped further inside. He saw the small bed. He saw the weak man lying on it. He saw the thin children sitting quietly in the corner. He did not need more words. The truth was clear. The father tried to sit up, but he was too weak. "I am sorry," the father said in a tired voice. "I cannot even stand to greet you properly." "There is no need," the rancher said kindly. "Please rest." He walked slowly around the small room, not to judge, but to understand. He saw empty containers. He saw very little food. He saw a family holding on with almost nothing. The rancher felt a heavy weight in his chest. This was not just a story. This was real life. The mother stood quietly, waiting, afraid to hope too much. Finally, the rancher spoke. "I cannot promise everything," he said honestly, "but I will not turn my back on you." The mother held her breath. "I can bring food," he continued. "I can help with medicine, and if you are willing, there may be work for your family at my ranch in the future." The room felt suddenly brighter, even though the light had not changed. The mother's hands began to shake. "Thank you," she whispered. The boy felt tears in his eyes, but this time they were not only from fear, they were from hope. The rancher looked at the family one more time. Inside his heart, a quiet decision was forming. Helping this family would not be easy. But for the first time in many years, his ranch might not be so lonely anymore. And for the family, this man might be the answer to the prayer they had been whispering every night. The rancher did not leave right away. He sat on a small chair near the door, quietly watching the family. He wanted to understand them better, not just see their problems for a few minutes and then forget. He believed that real help started with real understanding. The mother offered him a small cup of water. It was all she could give. The rancher accepted it with respect, even though it was simple. That small action showed him how kind and polite this family still was, even in their hardest time. He asked gentle questions. How long had the father been sick? What kind of pain did he feel? Had they seen any doctor? The mother answered as best as she could. She explained that they had gone to a small clinic once, but they could not afford to go again. The medicine helped a little at first, but when the medicine finished, the sickness slowly returned. The rancher listened carefully. He was not a doctor, but he knew that this man needed proper care. Leaving him like this was dangerous. "I will arrange for a doctor to see him," the rancher said. The mother looked shocked. "A real doctor?" she asked. "Yes," the rancher replied. "He deserves proper treatment." The father closed his eyes for a moment. He felt a mix of relief and sadness. Relief because help might finally come. Sadness because he hated being a burden on others. "I do not want to be a problem," the father said softly. "You are not a problem," the rancher answered firmly. "You are a man who has worked hard all his life. Now it is time for someone to help you." Those words touched the father deeply. The rancher then looked at the children. He noticed how quiet they were. He noticed how they stayed close to their mother. He remembered his own child, and his heart felt heavy. "You should be in school," he said gently to the eldest son. The boy nodded. "I was," he said, "but we could not pay the fees." The rancher felt anger at how unfair life could be. "No child should stop learning because of money," he said. The boy looked down, embarrassed, but also hopeful. After some time, the rancher stood up. "I will return soon," he said. "Today, I will bring food and medicine. Then we will talk about the future." The mother and children stood up as well. "May God bless you," the mother said quietly. The rancher nodded. He was not used to being thanked like this, but he understood how much it meant. He walked out of the house and back onto the dusty road. As he walked, his mind was full of thoughts. He thought about the cost of medicine. He thought about the work on his ranch. He thought about whether he was ready to bring a whole family into his life. But every time doubt entered his mind, he remembered the children's faces. That gave him strength. He went back to town and first visited a doctor he trusted. He explained the situation and asked the doctor to come to the village as soon as possible. The doctor agreed, touched by the story. Then the rancher went to the market. He bought sacks of rice, flour, vegetables, cooking oil, and some fruit. He also bought simple clothes for the children and warm blankets, knowing the nights could be cold. People at the market watched him with surprise. They were not used to seeing the quiet rancher buying so much for others. He did not care. For the first time in years, his money felt like it had real meaning. By late afternoon, he returned to the village with a cart full of supplies. The children saw him from far away and ran toward him. "He's back!" one of them shouted. The mother rushed outside. When she saw the food and supplies, she covered her mouth with her hand. Tears filled her eyes again. "This is too much," she said. "It is what your family needs," the rancher replied. They carried everything inside together. For the first time in a long while, the small house looked fuller. The smell of fresh food filled the air. That night, the family cooked a proper meal. It was simple, but to them, it felt like a feast. The children ate slowly, afraid the food might disappear if they ate too fast. The father watched them with weak but grateful eyes. "This is the first full meal they have had in many days," the mother said softly. The rancher felt both happy and sad. Happy that he could help. Sad that it had taken so long for help to come. Later, the doctor arrived. He examined the father carefully. He asked many questions and checked his breathing and strength. The family waited in silence. Finally, the doctor spoke. "The sickness is serious," he said honestly, "but it is not hopeless. With proper medicine, rest, and better food, he can improve." The mother felt like she could finally breathe again. "Thank you," she said to the doctor and the rancher again and again. The doctor left some medicine and explained how to use it. He promised to return to check on the father. That night, after everyone was resting, the rancher sat outside the house, looking at the stars. The village was quiet. The air was cool. The boy came and sat near him. "Sir," the boy said, "why are you helping us?" The rancher was quiet for a moment. "Because I know what it is like to lose everything," he said, "and because helping you also helps me." The boy did not fully understand, but he nodded. Over the next few days, the rancher visited often. Each time he brought something small, more food, more medicine, sometimes just his time. The father slowly began to show small signs of improvement. He could sit up longer, louder. He could eat a little more. His face had a bit more color. The children became more active. They played again outside. Their laughter slowly returned. The mother looked less tired, though worry was still in her eyes. One evening, the rancher gathered the family together. "I have been thinking," he said. "When your husband is a little stronger, I would like to offer you a chance to come to my ranch." The mother looked surprised. "To live there?" she asked. "Yes," he said. "There is work. There is space. It will not be easy, but it will be a fresh start." The family looked at each other. A fresh start. It sounded like a dream. "But we do not want to be a burden," the father said weakly. "You will not be," the rancher replied. "You will work when you are able. Your wife can help. The children can help in small ways and also return to school. It will be a shared effort." The room became very quiet. This was a big decision. Leaving their village. Leaving the only home they had known. But staying also meant staying close to fear and hunger. The mother reached for her husband's hand. "We will think about it," she said. The rancher nodded. "Take your time," he said. "I am not rushing you, but know this, you are not alone anymore." Those words stayed in the room long after he left. For the family, a door had opened. For the rancher, a new chapter of his life was beginning. And though no one could see it yet, their lives were slowly moving toward a future that would be very different from the painful past they had known. Time passed, and the changes in the family's life became clear to everyone. What once felt impossible now slowly became normal. The ranch, which had once been quiet and lonely, was now full of movement, voices, and purpose. The family was no longer just surviving. They were finally living. The father continued to grow stronger. Every week, he was able to walk a little farther. At first, he only walked around the small yard near their living space. Then, slowly, he began to walk short distances across the ranch. The rancher always watched carefully, making sure he did not push himself too hard. "You are improving," the rancher said one morning with a small smile. "But remember, strength takes time." The father nodded. "I am grateful for every step I can take," he replied. "For a long time, I thought I would never walk freely again." The mother also changed. Her face, once full of constant worry, now showed more calm and confidence. She worked in the ranch kitchen and helped manage supplies. She learned how to plan meals for many people, not just her family. She took pride in her work. For the first time in years, she felt useful without feeling desperate. "I feel like I can breathe again," she said quietly to the rancher one evening. Before, every day felt like a battle. The children changed the most. They went back to school. At first, they felt shy. They were afraid they had forgotten too much. But their teachers welcomed them. The children worked hard. Every day they came home with new stories, new lessons, and new dreams. The eldest son, who had once begged for help in the market, became more confident. He helped on the ranch in the mornings and studied in the afternoons. He no longer walked with his head down. He walked with purpose. One evening he stood next to the rancher and looked out over the land. "Sir," he said, "I want to become someone who helps others. One day, like you." The rancher felt a deep emotion in his chest. "That is a good dream," he said. "Never forget where you came from. That will make you strong and kind." The rancher himself also changed in ways he did not expect. For many years he had lived with silence and memories that hurt. The ranch had felt empty, even though it was full of animals and work. Now, when he came home, he heard voices. He heard laughter. He heard footsteps. The sound of life filled the spaces that had once felt cold. Some evenings, They all sat together and shared simple meals. They talked about their day. They laughed at small jokes. Sometimes they sat quietly, enjoying the peace. The rancher realized something important. Helping this family had not only saved them, it had saved him too. One night, the father asked to speak with the rancher privately. They sat outside under the stars. "I want to say something from my heart," the father said. "You did more than give us food and work. You gave us dignity. You treated us like human beings, not like a problem. You got it." The rancher looked down. "I did what any man should do," he said. The father shook his head. "Not everyone would," he replied. "You changed our future." The rancher felt his eyes become heavy with emotion. For a long time he had blamed himself for the past. He had carried guilt and sadness from losing his own family. Now he felt something different. He felt purpose. The mother also spoke to the rancher one day. "We used to pray every night asking for someone to help us," she said softly. "We never imagined that person would become like family to us." The rancher did not answer right away. Family. That word touched something deep inside him. Over time, the family became fully settled on the ranch. They no longer thought of themselves as temporary guests. They were part of the daily life. They helped make decisions. They shared responsibilities. They shared hopes. The rancher even began to teach the father and eldest son more about managing the land and animals. "You should learn this," he said. "One day you will be strong enough to handle more responsibility." The father felt proud. "I want to earn everything you give us," he said. "You already are," the rancher replied, "through honesty and hard work." The children began to dream bigger, too. One wanted to become a teacher. Another wanted to work with animals. Another talked about becoming a doctor one day, so no family would suffer without care like theirs had. The rancher listened to their dreams and encouraged them. "Dreams are powerful," he told them. "They can change your life if you protect them." The villagers also noticed the change. When people from the old village visited or heard news, they were surprised. "That family is doing well now," they said. "Their children are back in school. The father is walking again." Some people felt happy for them. Some people were amazed. The story of the rancher and the family slowly spread. Not because the rancher wanted praise, but because people could see the truth with their own eyes. Kindness had created a chain of change. 1 year later, the ranch looked very different. There were new areas planted, more animals, better organization. It was not just the rancher's work anymore. It was the work of a small community. One evening, during a simple gathering, the eldest son stood up. He felt nervous, but he wanted to speak. "I want to thank someone," he said, looking at the rancher. "A long time ago, I stood in a market and begged for help. I was scared. I felt small. But this man did not ignore me. He listened. Because of him, my family is alive, together and hopeful." Everyone was quiet. The rancher felt his face grow warm. "I am not special," he said. "I just made a choice. But that choice changed our lives," the boy replied. The rancher looked at the family sitting together, the strong father, the smiling mother, the children full of life. And he finally understood something very important. Saving others does not make you weaker, it makes you stronger. It gives life new meaning.